Hi friends, it's Kayla Moran and welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever day or time it is that you're listening. So happy to be back on the mic with you guys. I know it's been a hot sec, but there's been a lot going on with me, with the world. I feel like everybody just needs to be put in rice or in nap time. But we are back and I'm really excited about this episode because you know that I've been chronicling my health and mental health and wellness journey from day one of the podcast, episode 4, my wellness journey. And around that time, is while I was in law school, is really when I started learning about Hilma. So it was such a treat and such a pleasure and an honor to have Lily, the co-founder of Hilma, on the podcast this week. But before we dive into the episode, let's do a little life update catch up because 1, I've missed doing them on the podcast, and 2, TikTok hates me lately and does not want me to do them on TikTok anymore. So we're going to bring them back to the pod. I have been so surprised with how quickly I have fallen into this role of entrepreneur and law firm owner. A year ago, could not have imagined that this would be my life. A year ago, I was so scared because I had no job and I thought my life was over. Like, yes, I passed the bar, but I still didn't know what I was going to do with it. And no one really talks about that. No one really talks about how graduating from law school and passing the bar is only part 1 and part 2. There is still an entire life stage adjustment that happens once you are in your first year of practice, because now we're adults for the first time and there's bills to pay and health insurance, and you're enrolling in 401k plans and car insurance and phone bills, and like there's just so much that they don't tell you about how to be an adult, how to pay taxes, how to pay your bills. And like, do we do auto pay? Do we manually do it? Do we use Excel? Do we get a CPA? Like, what are we doing? So no one really talks about that, and it's just an adjustment to recognize, okay, I've been making more money now than I've ever made in my entire life, but I have more responsibilities than I've ever had in my entire life. So what do I do? And I'm lucky that I live at home and my parents are like my board of directors, and I talk about everything with them very openly and they give me advice and they guide me. But for people who don't have that relationship with their parents, or their parents don't know to help them, you know, it's really hard and really scary, and there's so many people telling you what to do and what not to do and how to do it and where to go and blah blah blah, and it's just really overwhelming. And I've heard it from my friends who recently graduated this year, how they're adjusting and they're struggling, and I was like, yeah, I'm still struggling a year later. Like I've had a lot more figured out than I did last year, but I'm still figuring it out too. And you know, that's the beauty though of being young and in your mid to late 20s and figuring it all out, is that right now, for the most part, we don't have responsibilities in the sense of family and other people and homes and children. So we're able to make a little bit more of these, you know, calculated risks and maybe some mistakes, and we can learn from them and we have time to adjust and navigate accordingly. But you know, it's still really scary because you don't want to make a big enough mistake that you can't get yourself out of the hole, especially with student loan debt and repayment and credit cards and that kind of stuff. But I want you guys to go listen to my episode with Meg, Wealth with Meg. I'll link it below. It was a couple of weeks ago where we talk a lot about this adjustment, and it was so timely, and it's something that has really been on my mind lately as I'm having these conversations with my family, with my friends, with mentors, with mentees. And I just wanted to mention that because that has been something that has been really weighing on me. Also, no one talks about being an entrepreneur, and that you have to be really careful what you say and do on social media because it affects your business in a way that if you work at a company or a law firm, you're insulated a little bit more. So that's something that I kind of had to learn this week with everything going on. And it sucks to kind of know you have to take a step back from speaking up, even though you want to speak up for the sake of your business, because you don't know who's watching. And that's been interesting as well, you know. And dating and relationships and recognizing I am ready to start dating, but maybe I need to be a little bit more careful with who I date and how I show up in the date, and knowing when to take myself home and knowing when I'm not really feeling it and not staying just to appease the person or because hopefully it'll get better. That's been an adjustment too, is just really being in tune with my body. And because there's been so much noise and social media and work and career and advice from all angles, sometimes it gets really hard to listen to yourself, and it takes stepping back and taking inventory of your life to do that. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend going to North Carolina with my family. We're taking a week trip to go to the mountains and truly decompress. I don't plan to be working as much as I have been while I'm there. I don't think I'm going to fully take off, because if I don't work, I don't make money. But I am planning to really enjoy my time away, get a change of scenery, enjoy the fall. And then I'm also going to homecoming. So I'm really excited to be back in Knoxville and see my best friend Yasmin and see some of my classmates and my professors. And, I talk very openly about how law school is a really hard time for me making friends, because I was going through a lot on a personal level: mental health, wellness, physical health. Like I said, listen to my wellness journey episode. I'll link that one below as well. And we talk about it a lot in this episode, me and Lily. But there was a lot going on behind the scenes that people didn't know or didn't care to know or care to understand. And that affected the way I showed up while I was a student. But I have made some of my best friends through that experience. And my best mentors are my professors. And I wouldn't be where I am today had I not had them as my support system. So I'm really looking forward to being back with them. And speaking of this reflection and inventory, I was on a podcast yesterday with Wealthy Future Lawyers Squad, Lauren Klein. I'll link her below. And her and I were talking about my journey, my career journey, and how yoga and meditation and my wellness journey has impacted my career and allowed me to become the person and the lawyer and the business owner that I am today. And it was really cool to just take a step back and reflect on how far I've come in, since I was in high school, since I was in college, since I was in law school, and just a year of being a business owner. And I talk a lot about how, I had my exercise of at 23, fast forwarding 10 years, where do I want my life to look? How do I want my life to feel? Who am I with? What am I doing? Where do I live? Do I have kids? What schools do they go to? Do I have a husband? What does my relationship with him look like? Where do I live? What does my house look like? All of that. Where do I travel? Where do I vacation? What are my hobbies? How do I spend my weekends? I got really, really clear on that vision for my life, and I reverse engineered it to make sure that the career that I started for myself at 23, as I was exiting law school and starting my career in my life, that it was going to allow me to get to where I wanted to be. And that exercise truly has transformed my life. I talk about it. There's an episode all about that. I'll link that below. And that's something that I keep talking so much about with my cousins, with my family, with my friends, with mentees, with mentors. Lauren and I talk about it in the episode that we recorded, because she had a similar exercise and she talks a lot about that to her mentees. And, it's crazy. 3 years ago when I did that exercise, I could not have imagined where I'd be in 3 years. I had a feeling though. I had a gut feeling. I'm a gut intuition person, that 25, 26 was going to be my time to shine. That 25 was going to be a transformative year for me. My career was going to really start looking a lot like what I wanted it to look like. And it has. But I didn't know how that was going to work out or what it was going to look like. But I had a feeling and I knew how I wanted it to feel. And I'm getting to do that, which is freaking awesome. And now I'm starting to get that feeling that, as I entered year 26 and 2024, I'm going to start prioritizing myself and my relationships a little bit more so, to prepare myself for wanting those things and getting there, because I do want that, but I'm not 100% yet ready to go pursue that. It's still a little bit of a career phase, but I'm kind of going to do a kind of a 50-50 balance of that. And I'm going to prioritize my career and letting it grow and foster and flourish, because I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do. And I'm starting to set up those plans, and I'm hiring for my weaknesses, and I'm investing in certain courses and resources like CPAs and all of that stuff to really allow myself to get to where I want to be, so that when I turn 27 in 2025, 27 or 2024, I turn 27 at the end of the year. My year 27, 2025 is truly when I can start setting myself up for that next chapter of my life: family, relationships, marriage, owning a home, all of that stuff. So I just have a really good feeling about the next 2-3 years. I'm just on this upward trajectory, and I actually ran into one of my friends from high school. She's a hair and makeup artist now. She's a former Celtics dancer, and she was doing my makeup just for fun for her portfolio. And she was like, "Oh, I always knew that like once you left high school, you were really gonna come into your own. That high school wasn't your best time. Like there was more for you. And like I'm so proud of how far you've come at everything that you're doing." And we hadn't seen each other in 8 years, but we've known each other since we were like 6. So it was really cool to, hear that from her, that she saw that in me and at a time when I didn't even see that in myself. So that was really cool. We were talking about her life, her relationships, her future. And it was just really cool to reconnect with someone who played a really big part in my life for a very long time. She was my locker room buddy in dance in high school. So it was really cool to catch up. And I'm excited to continue fostering these friendships and new people that come into my life, and relationships and people that I'm meeting, and travel and experience the world, and then one day be able to share those experiences with someone. And I know that I'm getting a lot closer to that, but I'm not quite there yet. And that's a topic for another day. I would love to talk about that with someone who's more in tune with like dating and relationships. But, there's a whole lot going on that I can't wait to continue sharing with you guys. And I look forward to sharing the next chapter, from wellness like this to productivity to career to business to finance to entrepreneurship to law. There's just so much to share, and I cannot wait to continue sharing it with you guys. So stay tuned. But let's do a quick suck and sweet of the week, and then we'll dive right in to Hilma and their story, and Lily, and I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. So my suck of the week is that I went to get an oil change on Monday, and it should have been a quick 20-minute, 30-minute appointment. I was there for 3 hours. Why it took so damn long, I will not understand, because all I did was an oil change and a tire rotation. I don't understand. But anyway, that's super random and annoying and unnecessary, but that was annoying this week. And my sweet of the week is that Miami is having a little bit of a cold front, and it's been really nice the last few days, and I've just been enjoying hanging out outside, co-working outside with my cousin, with my family, playing some golf with the simulator, a glass of wine with dinner, and being by the fireplace and just hanging out. And it's been really, really nice, and it's a nice treat going into North Carolina because it's going to be chilly up there, and I can't wait for fall dressing for a hot sec. But yeah, things are going really, really well here, and I'm excited to, like I said, continue sharing. But let's talk about Lily and Hilma. Hilma is a drug-free alternative to your favorite medicine cabinet supplements. They have indoor-outdoor allergy support. They have immune products. They have like kind of like an emergency type supplement that is really good if you feel colds coming on. Gentle bowel movement is literally my best friend, and I drink it at least twice a week, and it helps me go to the bathroom. They have such incredible products, and we talk about how the idea came about and how they went about the process of creating a supplement product and a supplement brand, and why drug-free was so, so important to them. And it was really fun meeting her. But I've been working with them for almost 2 years as an ambassador. So it was really nice that I finally got to meet her and say thank you for creating these products that have transformed my routine and my life and my body and my relationship with my body. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this episode, please leave a rating and review. Please subscribe to the show, share with a friend, tag us as you're listening. Let me know who you want to see next, what topics you want me to cover, and I hope you guys enjoy. Meet Lily. So Lily, what's something that people wouldn't know about you just from following you?
That's a great question. Well, I'm the oldest of 5 siblings, which I don't like, post about my family that much on social media. But yeah, that's kind of like, that's always my fun fact about myself, is that I have a really big family.
That's cool. I'm just the oldest of 2, but I feel like older siblings, we get a lot of a lot of crap, especially being a female. Like I have a younger brother, and just him and I are like cats and dogs always, even now in our 20s.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I've seen so many funny memes on like Instagram about like the oldest daughter, and like I think all of them are so true. Like there's one that was like, if you're an oldest daughter, you might deserve financial compensation. I was like, yes, like a
Yeah.
lot of like, you know, extra work and like taking care of everyone and managing all that.
My favorite recently was like, eldest daughters are like the strongest men you'll know. And I'm like, yep.
Yes. I saw that one too. And my friends always send them to me. It like cracks me up.
Yeah. No, that's funny. I can't imagine being one of five, like such a big family. I think like it'd both be really fun and really chaotic.
Yeah, exactly. And 4 dogs. Like I grew up in just like
Wow.
a crazy house, but it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we always had one dog at a time. Now we have two, and it is absolute chaos. So I can't imagine five kids and four dogs. Just
It's just-
two kids and two dogs. It's a lot.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm super excited to have you on. You are one of the co-founders of Hilma, which is one of my favorite supplement brands. And I just wanted to ask you, what led you guys to building Hilma? Can you talk more about it? The name, where did this idea come from?
Of course. So I founded Hilma with my 2 co-founders, Nina and Hillary. Nina is actually my oldest friend. We met in like 2nd grade and you know have been best friends ever since. And she and Hillary went to business school together, and so I met Hillary through Nina, and the 3 of us became close friends. And we decided to start Hilma essentially because we couldn't find the product that we wanted. Like we as consumers, as I'm sure you and many of your listeners and audience members feel the same. We were constantly buying like the clean, natural alternative to various products in our homes, from like our beauty products, our skincare products, our household cleaning products, our food. We were kind of like really intensely making that shift towards more like clean, natural, better for you. And the one place where there was not a clear alternative was in the medicine cabinet. And once we kind of had that realization, it just didn't make any sense to us that like these products, which, you know, theoretically you're using in a moment when you're uncomfortable and when you should be using something you feel really, really good about to make yourself feel better. You know, we found that there were lots of things lurking in those products. First of all, they're made with drugs, which like is totally fine, but you know, sometimes you want to use a drug, sometimes you don't. And then on top of that, they were filled with like, you know, dyes, fillers, steroids, all of this additional stuff that we didn't want to have in our products. And we couldn't find an alternative that we felt really good about. And so as we kind of dug into it further, there were like kind of 2 ends of the spectrum. Obviously, there were the existing drugs that I just talked about, but then on the other end, there were a lot of like very crunchy feeling, like herbal products that are often marketed like as a specific ingredient. Like you can go buy willow bark or artichoke leaf, but if you're a person who doesn't have a ton of background information, that isn't going to be helpful to you. Like you're not going to go, and even myself, who like, you know, at the time I had like a base level understanding of like natural ingredients. I wasn't going to take the time to go buy like 5 different bottles of something and like brew myself a potion at home. So we wanted to create a suite of products that were really easy to understand how to use them and that were effective to work in the moment when you're uncomfortable, and kind of a suite of products that were a clean, natural alternative to what we were finding in the pharmacy aisle. And so yeah, that was kind of like the inspiration. And then from that moment, I mean, each of us was working at, you know, whatever job we were in at the time, and we got really excited about the idea. And we spent like a year working on it just on nights and weekends, and then, you know, got some external validation in the form of some of our scientific advisors signing on. We raised like a small little seed round, and we decided to quit our jobs and pursue it full time.
That's so wild. I have a friend who, has investors now, and she's in the fundraising world, and hearing the
Mhm.
process, I can't imagine, especially something, scientific like this that is,
Yeah,
wellness related. And, it's true what you say about like these ingredients like willow bark or something like that, and
yeah.
creating your own potion at home. It's funny. I'm Lion, and growing up,
Mhm.
like if something was bothering us, like drink this tea or like do this. And like my grandma always had little like tips and tricks and ideas of things that they used to do back in the day when before they came to this country or couldn't afford in this
Right.
country to
get those things. But, it's just a lot easier sometimes to go for the fast acting relief versus like the making of your own thing, even though I could do them myself or could ask how to do them. So that's such a great point that you were like, I just want it to be simple and done for me instead of having to create this. Cause a lot of times, yeah, you want that quick relief.
Yeah.
What was it like? You said you had a base understanding before, and
Mhm.
the other two co-founders were the business side of things, like finding people to help you formulate these products and actually like going from an idea to like a tangible product in the formula. Like, what was that process like?
Yeah, well, so that was really interesting, and that was the majority of the work that we did kind of in that first year when we were when it was just like a seed of an idea and we were kind of working on it on nights and weekends. We were like, okay, we're the consumers of this product. We're not the formulators of this product. So in order for us to create a brand that like aligns with these values that we're setting forth of like efficacy and scientific backing and real like integrity to work for people who are using them in a moment when they're uncomfortable, we need to have a really legit team of scientists and doctors who are going to be making these products. So the first thing that we did was we Googled all of the best like herbal universities that exist. And we went on LinkedIn and like kind of just started searching for people. And we reached out to like probably 100 different herbalists. And we just said like, hey, we're three young entrepreneurs. We're really excited. We have this idea and we just like want to talk to you about like how we should be thinking about formulation and like what the process would look like and just kind of pick your brain. And honestly, we were so surprised by how many very kind souls just like responded to our random LinkedIn message. And we started by having just like lots of conversations with different, like classically trained herbalists who then introduced us to some more like classically trained doctors who, like, for example, Dr. Aviva Rome is one of our
I love
scientific
her.
advisors, and she's like very, very well known and like basically like a celebrity. And I'm sure she gets so many inbound requests from so many different people who want her to help them with things. But because we had spoken to this very kind herbalist who she happened to know, he introduced us to her. And then we were able to like actually get her on the phone and like pitch her our idea. And she was really excited about it because she saw the need for it in the space and like through her own practice and her own like she sees patients, but she also has a huge social media following. And she was like, this is a product that like people are asking me for. Like people say like, I don't want to take Tums, or I don't want to take Pepto-Bismol, or I don't want to take Zyrtec. Like, what should I do? And there's no easy thing to say like, oh, you can take this instead. So people like her kind of signed on to work with us and helped us also set up like our formulation process. So the way that it works is that we have a formulator who's an herbalist who basically puts together a baseline idea of what any formula could look like. So we say like, we want to create a gas and bloating product. We think it should include some of these ingredients because we've done some research. And we want it to work in this way, and it needs to like hit all of these criteria of like, clean label, vegan, non-GMO, et cetera, et cetera. So they put together a baseline formulation for us. And then our scientific advisory board, which is now I think 6 people, including Aviva, who are all, MDs. Then each of them reviews the formula and we do 3 different rounds of review. So they like come back to us and say, you know what, I've seen like this herb interacts weirdly with this type of health issue, or, I think the milligrams should be higher or what have you. And we kind of go back and forth and get tons of feedback from them. And they also review all of the substantiation. So every ingredient that's included in the formula has to have at least 10 clinical studies backing up its efficacy. So people like Aviva helped us put together this process of like formulation, review, substantiation, et cetera, which we use for all of our products. So that was kind of like the biggest thing, the biggest like strategic infrastructure point at the beginning was getting the foundation of like our scientific backing and getting these like really reputable people involved. to kind of, make up for the skills that we didn't personally have, and to make sure we were delivering on that value that we wanted to have of like efficacy and a natural product that was also scientifically rigorous.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I was gonna ask like how that all came about in building those systems and processes. So I'm glad you shared that. And I love Dr. Viva. Her
We love her
content
too.
is great, and she does a really good job of helping people with like thinking of it medicine in a holistic approach to treating ailments, even simple as like period cramps.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah. I
female
mean,
hormone wellness.
she really took a chance on us. Like she's like I said, she's like such a big deal. And we were always just so grateful to her for her like how much she champions young women and young entrepreneurs, and like she's just
Yeah.
awesome.
I came to one of your webinars with her sometime last
Oh,
year,
amazing. Yeah.
and
Our back to school, I think we called it,
yeah,
right?
and it was incredible. That's how I found her, because you guys sent me the link to it, and so I just logged in one day and I was like, "Wow, this woman is incredible."
Amazing
But
stuff.
I love that it all started through reaching out to people on LinkedIn. I am a huge proponent of just messaging someone on LinkedIn or a DM, like, yeah, they may not see it, but you don't know what happens if they do. And
Oh,
like that's just the beauty of social media and the internet. And something like LinkedIn is you can just tap into someone's network and you don't know where it's going to lead, and like look at what you've built through it. I've built the career that I've been able to build through LinkedIn and just reaching out to people
yeah.
on social media and being like, "Hey, I'm interested in what you're doing and I want to learn more. How can I be a part of this?" And you
Oh,
were like, "Hey, we have this really cool idea. We would love to know what you think about it." And people liked it and they're like, "I want to help you." Like that is such a testament to one tenacity and just like being willing to go for it, but that you guys had a really cool idea, and I love that so much. And that I just had a shameless plug for LinkedIn
yeah.
because I talk about that all the time on the podcast, but it's just such an important tool just to you never know who you're going to reach, so it's important to just try.
You're totally right. And also like you're also totally right that like or I guess like what I was so happy to discover is that once you actually have a conversation with someone, they want to help you. Like people are nice, and they when you're like genuinely excited about something and curious and asking questions, like for the most part, people like are I don't know, it's nice to have a human interaction, and then usually that ends up helping you in some way. So it's always good to I feel like these days we're like, so online on our phones, but like actually having even if it's a virtual conversation, it's so
Yeah.
nice to actually make that connection, and usually results in something positive for both people.
Yeah, I that's why I love like that, and I love LinkedIn and just networking in general because of that. We were just saying like the connection aspect, even if it's virtual nowadays, because it's virtual, we can talk to people that are in completely different places than us, like we
Mhm.
are right now. But also, you
Exactly.
just can the friendships and the relationships that I've made with people, mentorship, like business relationships. We wouldn't have that if it wasn't for just taking the chance on reaching out to people and the human connection aspect. Like, yeah, we spend a lot of times on our phones now, but just having a conversation face to face, even if it's through Zoom,
Yeah.
is such a great feeling. And also, I think part of why maybe they were so willing to help out and be interested is because not only do you take a chance to reach out to them, but you guys had a passion for this, and they
Yeah.
like there's something to be said for entrepreneurs who see like, all right, I'm going to buy this business or I'm going to create this business and scale it and make a lot of money. And yeah, that's
Mhm.
great, and we need those people too, but it's even more important, I think, when it's like you see a white space in the market and you're like, I can, I have this need. I'm going to make this for me. And then there's a white space. So, like, let me bring it to market. And then
Yeah.
those people see that and they're like, yeah, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. And it's been really incredible. So, what was the first product that you guys came up with? Like, there's three of you. Did you guys all like take turns building the product that you guys needed most? Or like, how did you guys come up with like which one you were going to do first?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we each of us like had ideas about different products, but like being true to that like core principle of scientific rigor, we really just looked at research. So we were looking at like two key things. One is how frequently like the general population experiences a specific issue, and then number two, like how effective herbal solutions could be for that issue. So like we did a ton of research around like, you know, how frequently do people experience headaches? How frequently do people experience heartburn? And we found that like colds, headaches, and like heartburn or upset stomach were kind of like the top three that also overlapped with like a wealth of research on how herbs could be effective solutions. And so that was kind of how we landed on the first three. We also wanted to make sure that the products were in different categories because we really wanted the brand to sit as like a cross category solution, similar to how like the Honest Company just stands for like clean, natural baby products. It could be diapers, it could be food, it could be anything. We wanted to stand for like natural herbal alternatives to the medicine cabinet. So we didn't want to be pigeonholed as like only tension or only digestive or only immune. So we wanted to have three products that stood across those categories. So that's how we decided to launch with those specific ones.
Yeah, no, that's so important too, like that being cross category and really standing out on your own. I think that's such a great strategy to start with, to be able to build a sustainable company, not like you said, just like yeah, like a hero product. You know, you have hero products in every category, which is really, really cool. Yeah, I'm like dying for you guys to come out with some sort of period supplement. That's like the only one I'm missing right now. Like if
I
you guys
know we hear
give me
that
that,
all the time.
we'll be
I know.
golden.
I know it's on the roadmap, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I bet. I'm excited. But yeah, I was telling you offline, I use your immune range and the indoor outdoor sport and the elderberry immune gummies, but also the gentle bowel movement.
Yeah.
That those are my hero products. I can't live without them. A lot of products now too.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to develop new products and like learn from our community about what people want. And like I said, it was important for us to be cross category in terms of like having products for different like issues that people have. But we've just seen such success with digestive as a category. Like gentle bowel for constipation is such an amazing product. Like because I mean I don't know how like detailed we want to get here on
Oh,
the
go ahead. I don't mind.
but you know, laxatives are very harsh and like violent on your
I have
system.
a crazy story about laxatives. So the reason why this product has changed my life is because I've always struggled with digestive issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a genetic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I was telling you, I was a dancer my entire life, and I would take very heavy dosages of Tylenol and Advil to feel pain relief. And I started recognizing like I needed to wean myself off of it, and I have. I take it in very rare circumstances, or like I have to be really, really in pain or need to go somewhere that I go for that. I'd rather just stick it out. And I think that probably really messed up my stomach. My hormone levels were really out of whack, and I've always struggled. Like I've always had regular periods, but they're very heavy and they're very painful. And I think all of my hormones being out of whack and stress and everything. And I've always had a really tough digestive system. And there was a time where I used to be able to go like a week or 2 weeks without going to the bathroom, like, which is not like it would take it was rare that I went, and it was so painful, and I always looked like I was 3 months pregnant and bloated, and I was just so much pain. And my cousin is the same way, but she has PCOS. I don't. So it was like she had other things, I didn't. So no one really knew why this was happening. And my grandma, like we had tried all of the Cuban remedies, all of the herbal things, everything. Nothing was working. Foods that would normally do it, like prunes and apricots and all the things, still wouldn't be able to go. Or I would be able to go a little bit, but like I still needed to go more. And this is terrible. And I've never spoken this on the podcast. I drank an entire bottle of Miralax. Still couldn't go to bath.
Oh my God. But did that eventually like have a horrible effect? Like that scares me.
I didn't have any effect. It just didn't do anything. I literally didn't go. And a couple of days later, I tried, like not all in one sitting, like I took it over time, but like, and there was a bicarbonate solution, another type of laxative product. Like I had tried every product in the category, and it's still and my grandma was like, just like, do you need to get your stomach pumped? Like my cousin has had to get her stomach pumped once. So it's like maybe, but like I wasn't on medication. Like I wasn't doing anything and I was eating
Crazy.
right. And it was terrible. And I was telling you, like I was at the point where I could eat chicken nuggets from McDonald's and feel horrible and eat a spinach salad and feel equally as horrible. And just nothing was, I was
Yeah.
just feeling awful. This was like 2 years ago, 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
And I just got fed up. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to figure something out. And I got off birth control and that really helped. But around that time, I found Hilma and I found gentle bowel movement and gas and bloat. And that was the only thing that I was like, if I take it at night, in the morning, I drink an entire simple
Yeah.
thing of water and then I eat breakfast and have my coffee. And by the time I'm about to go to the bathroom or about to go shower, I'm going to the bathroom. And I go every
So glad
single
to
day
hear
now,
that.
and I'm like, I literally feel like I'm 300 pounds lighter. It feels so good to be able to finally go to the bathroom regularly. And like, I notice that the days that I forget to take it at night, or like, I don't think I need it. So I'm like, oh, I don't need to
Yeah.
take it. I probably won't go. There are times where I will, because usually like the coffee does help and having
Yeah.
a
Coffee is a big
system.
one.
But like, I mean, I drink coffee every day. It is still
Yeah.
wasn't
I'm
working.
so glad to hear that. I mean, yeah, magnesium citrate is a fantastic, and it's interesting because we include magnesium citrate, which is like a gentle laxative, which is obviously natural. But we also include like soothing herbs. So it's the point of it. It's called. I mean, that's the name. Gentle bowel movement support is it's supposed to help you go to the bathroom, but not in such a like painful, violent way that like many laxatives can, and it also soothes your stomach. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
always feel so like my stomach just doesn't hurt afterwards. Like, yeah, I finally went to the bathroom and then I'm like, I shower and like as I'm getting ready for the day, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I feel good. Like I think my biggest thing with any Hilma product that I take is I just after I take it and like even if I get the relief that I needed from whatever the product was, I'm like, okay, like I feel good. Like
yeah,
it doesn't affect any other aspects of my day or my life or how I'm feeling, which sometimes
right.
products can do that. And I remember, like even when I got my wisdom teeth out, they gave me Percocet. Percocet
Yeah.
made me nauseous. I couldn't take it. So I had to take like really high dosages of Tylenol and that wasn't good. But if I take like a tension supplement, which I've only tried once or twice, but if I take your guys' tension products, I'm like, okay, like that's really good. Like I need to get more so me and my mom can use it because we're always really stressed out. And I think that would actually really help us.
Yeah.
But I love that that your products, because of the herbs and the natural aspect of it, it just, you feel good taking.
Yeah. Our whole like philosophy at the beginning of this was like, listen, there is a time and place to take drugs. If you have a migraine, like you should absolutely take Excedrin. If you're having like debilitating period cramps, like you got to take your Advil or your Tylenol or your Midol. But the reality is that like there's a whole like universe of people who are experiencing things that are like not so extreme and they need an option that isn't as extreme. Like our whole thing was like, why use like a jackhammer when you have like a screwdriver? Like you don't need this like over the top solution for most like daily discomfort. So that's like the role that Hilma can play in everyone's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you an entrepreneur before? Were any of you guys entrepreneurs before you started Hilma?
So none of us had run companies before. I had always worked in like the media space. Like I started at Vogue magazine doing like PR and brand marketing. And then worked at Vox Media as well. And then when at the time that we decided to launch Hilma, I had been at Refinery 29 for many years, running all of our brand partnerships with fashion and retail partners. And then Nina and Hillary both had experiences working at startups. Both of them went to business school together, and so they had like a little more kind of exposure, I would say, to like the direct consumer like startup space. And both of them had worked as like early employees at startups, so had seen like a lot of how you kind of think about marketing and setting up operations and fundraising and all of that stuff. So they kind of came at it a little bit more from the like direct to consumer business side, and I came to it more from like really understanding the customer and the brand and the marketing and seeing it as like a really great opportunity to build community, because like everyone has a gut health story. Like I will tell you, like the amount of times like throughout my day, and I talk to customers like every week. I talk about poop literally constantly, like poop, bloating, indigestion. Like it is like one of my favorite topics. And it's so interesting because everybody has like different issues or health stories or like, remedies that their grandma made them or like different ways that they've diagnosed like whatever's going on with them. So it's really interesting.
No, I only ask because I think it's really cool that you all three came from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
and that helps, like, having that diversity of experience to help build a company, especially like a startup. Everyone's small, but small team, but mighty. Like everyone, all hands on deck. So maybe all had different skills. And I was going to ask you, like, because you didn't have entrepreneurial experience before, what has
Mhm.
been the hardest part and the most rewarding part about building a company from scratch?
That's a great question. Well, the hardest part is just you don't know what you don't know. And so you have to learn things the hard way, i.e., like making mistakes. So, like, that's been very hard. Like, I'm the type of person who I didn't know this about myself until we started Hilma. But I've always like had a boss and had someone who like tells me like what my key goals are and like the things that I needed to do, and then gives you good feedback when you do a good job. And when you start a company, like there's no one to tell you what to do. You just have to do it yourself. And that was really hard for me to like learn how to feel confident in my work when I didn't have like, an authority figure like telling me that I did a good job or didn't do a good job. Um, and I also think that um, you know, we you mentioned our immune product. We spent like a lot of time when we first launched marketing that product specifically. And we learned that like that isn't our best selling product. Like our best selling products are all digestive and our gas and bloat relief is our best selling product. But we had this like belief. I think it was also because COVID, it was right as we launched
Yeah.
into COVID. So like immunity is like so important and like we need to support people with a good product. And so like we made a mistake. We spent so much of our energy and time and budget like focusing on this one
That was my
product.
first
Had,
product that
like,
I tried. I think I was part
yeah,
of that's how I found you guys, but
yeah.
honestly, I'm really
And
glad that I did.
we had this and we weren't spending any like marketing energy or money or mental space on our digestive product. And meanwhile that is now like digestive products now make up like 70% of our sales. So it's like you just you make mistakes and you're kind of it's hard when you realize that you've made a mistake to look back and be like, oh my god, we just spent like 6 months doing totally the wrong thing. But you kind of have to like pick yourself up and like pivot and adjust and focus on your new path and commit to it and make sure that you have checks in place along the way to make sure that the path that you're on is working. So I would say that's probably like the hardest part is like learning those is like those moments where you're like, this is a learning moment. Okay, we did the wrong thing. We have to pivot. But the most rewarding thing, honestly, is like conversations like these where I talk to somebody who says that, Miralax didn't work and they had so many problems and now they have a product that is, natural and works for them every day. Like that is the thing that just makes me so happy is there's so many people out there who are using Hilma and it's like the only thing that's worked. Like that's the thing that just makes me really happy and is the most rewarding is the fact that like the products really work and that they're out there and there's like lots of people who are using them and incorporating them into their lives in the way that we had envisioned.
Yeah, I bet. That's so cool. Yeah, I love, like, I always joke, I'm like, "Can life stop sending me lemons?" Like, I'm ready for it to, like, be, like, easy coasting and, like, let me chill for and get used to where I'm at, but it wouldn't be life if there wasn't a lesson every once in a while. But I think we like everything that happens, good, bad, or ugly, is a learning opportunity, and we gotta learn from those mistakes. And, you know, the only way to build these systems and processes better is by going through them the hard way and then, knowing what not to do next time and building
Mhm.
that check that is going to, keep it from happening next time. And if it does happen again, at least, hopefully it's a little bit different and you tweak it again and you just keep going. And I'm only a year into the entrepreneurial journey myself. And, I'm not in
Yeah,
a product based business, it's just services, but still, like, it's tough figuring out, where you want to spend your money,
totally.
where you want to invest your time, and what's working. And I've been struggling with that myself, like having that conversation of is this working? Is it time to pivot? Where do I want to pivot?
Right.
So I can understand.
Understanding who your customer is, like, that's a huge thing too, is like, because to me, that's the most fundamental part of like any business, is just really understanding who your customer is, because that should be informing all of your decisions. And, for us, like in the first year, figuring out the answer to that question, which is always an evolving answer, but at the beginning of our business, figuring out who our customer was like so critical.
What's your, like, what side of the business do you enjoy the most? Do you enjoy like the talking to the customers and like the being the front facing part, or do you enjoy like the lab aspect, the formulation, being behind the scenes, or like are you like business minded and like spreadsheets? Like where do you run the show?
I just love the community aspect. Like, I love creating content that's actually really useful for people and engaging. Like, my favorite thing is when we have like an Instagram post that has like 1,000 saves, because to me, or like 1,000 DM shares, because I'm just like, okay, people, this is useful. People are sending it to their friends. They're saving it for themselves. And like, my vision for Hilma has always been like, we go beyond the products. Like, you're going to get an amazing like constipation relief product, but you're not just getting that. You're also getting like stretches for how to like get things moving. You're getting recipes that might help you go to the bathroom. Like, you're getting a full like, and on top of that, you're getting a community of people who experience the same issue, who like want to share with you and talk to you about it. And to me, that is, obviously our products are different than like the traditional medicine cabinet products because of like what they're made with and how they work and all of that. But they're also fundamentally different just in the way that the brand is interacting with the customer. Like, Tums works great, but doesn't like mean anything to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, Tums isn't like following up to see how it's working for you and like giving you a recipe and, connecting you with someone else who has heartburn. Like, so that is my favorite part, I think, is just like really having the vision and strategy for building that type of brand and business. But I do also really love talking to customers. Like, it's just so interesting to like learn about, like hear how Helma's a part of their lives, and just learn about like who they are and where they shop and like what other brands they like and like what influencers they follow and all of that type of thing, because it gives us such a more rich picture of just like who this brand and product is like for, and it enables us to do interesting things from a marketing perspective.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a part of your community and I love that
I
aspect.
know.
It's on Geneva. I'll link it below so people can join it, but Kiki will always be like, so how are you guys feeling today? Like, is anyone bloated right now, or like different? Like, how are you using this product? And people will start sharing their stories and their recipes and like connecting with people and relating. Like, I've, I am now, because I'm in the influencer space, able to connect with people that are open to talking about these things. And because I guess we're just a lot less filtered and able to like talk about the embarrassing things on the internet. But, I can relate to people more. Whereas growing up and in college and in law school, everyone, no one talked about these things. Or if they did, they just used like the over the counter solutions, but I didn't want to use those anymore. So having the community where I could go to people that like, hey, like I'm struggling with this. Like, does anyone have any ideas or suggestions? And just having someone checking in on you, and like that's really been fun. And also just, like you're saying, like the story shares and things like that, like knowing that there's resources, like you guys are also educating your consumer and your audience on why, maybe not important is the right word, but why this alternative is an alternative, and why maybe it's something to consider. And like you said, there's a place and time for everything. Like, there is time for so choose the over the counter option, but I enjoy having that alternative. And also like growing up in a Latin household, and or like I travel a lot, and going to Europe, they're very holistic. They have a lot more products and that are based on medicine and herbs and nature and the community around them. And that to me is a lot more of the approach I want to live my life with. So I enjoy using products that's the philosophy as well. Like you guys and Beekeepers Naturals, that's very like similar to you guys, that aspect. And those are the two brands that I use the most. Like if you look at my medicine cabinet, that's what's in there.
That's so great. I mean, that's kind of what we always envisioned. People should be able to have an easy and accessible natural alternative that they can trust to work, but that they can feel better about, like, what they're putting in their bodies and the values that the brand stands for.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation, and I can share Hilma with this my community. Where did the name
Oh,
Hilma come from?
that's such a good question. So many people are like, is it a combination of all of your names? Because like Hillary being a Lily, like it kind of seems like it is. That's just a coincidence. We actually chose the name Hilma because there's this incredible artist, Hilma off Clint, who had this beautiful exhibition at the Guggenheim when we were like just starting our business, and we all went and we were like so inspired by her work, which is very much about, like nature, and she was very inspired by like scientific discoveries of the day and like magic, and she kind of had this just incredible way of like translating that into painting. And we just felt like, okay, we're like female entrepreneurs, she's a female artist, and like the subject matter of her work felt so aligned with what we were trying to do with our brand. So that was the inspiration, but we ultimately picked it because we wanted a name that didn't mean anything to anyone, that wasn't like, I don't know, didn't have like a reference point in daily life, so that we could build the brand world that we wanted and have it just mean the thing that we were creating versus having any other like associations.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a unique story, and I like that her subject matter and her inspiration and your inspiration, like that connection, is really cool. I'm always wondering, like, to me as a trademark attorney, I'm like, where do people get these names from? Like, what inspired them? That
Yeah.
fascinates me. The strategy behind the name and the business that they're building, that to me is always really fun to dig into. So I'm glad we got to touch on that. But for anyone who has that idea and who wants to, really start growing it and do something with it, what's your advice?
So I get asked this question a lot, and my number one piece of advice is always do your research. So, like, if you have an idea, that's fantastic. You should go out and look at every single brand that's doing something similar or that's in the category or space that you're looking at, and like, obsess over like, what does their website look like? How do they talk about their products? How do they talk about themselves? Like, what does their Instagram look like? What do their emails look like? And just take copious notes and look at all of the competitors, but then also like look at whatever other research is available to you. Like for Hilma, it was like, understanding how often people experience these issues, doing research on the herbs that we might want to include in our products, doing research on like the thought leaders in the space that we were trying to enter, and like really just immersing yourself in whatever the space is that you're trying to enter, so that when you start to actually take steps towards like building whatever it is that you're building, you really know what you're talking about. Because then in those conversations where you're like, you DM someone or you reached out to someone on LinkedIn, then you are able to like really represent yourself well and represent your idea well by knowing, like, just really having like a breadth of understanding from having done research. So that's my number one recommendation. And then the second one would be like, talk to people who disagree with you, and bring on a team of people who are good at things that you are not good at. My partners, Nina and Hillary, are very, very good at all the things that I'm not good at, and that has been very useful.
Yeah, that's so important. Hire for your weaknesses for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to ask if you had any advice for anyone who was already an entrepreneur and needed help, like that boost in scaling. But I think that's honestly a really good one, is hiring for your weaknesses and building a team that's going to challenge you and, help you with the things that you're not that good at.
Definitely that, but also back to what I said earlier about understanding your customer. Like if you're ever stuck in something, like we had moments at Hilma where we were very stuck, and like we just emailed every single person who had ever bought Hilma, and we were like, can we talk to you? And from that we got like 100 people who responded, and I spoke to all of them and learned so much about what was the thing that resonated with this person, why do they buy the product, like what are the other brands that they're working with or that they're buying, like can we partner with those brands to get more visibility with a group of customers who clearly like are interested in what we're doing. So I think like, yeah, for us, like at every like decision point or like difficult point in our business, going back to understanding the customer has been really helpful.
I love that. I love that you guys were just like, "Hey, we need help. Like, can we ask you a few
Yeah.
questions?" And they said yes. I think that's
Yeah.
forward thinking, and that's what going back to like the community and really being involved and wanting to know your customer, but just that you guys were you're not afraid to go outside of the box and get creative. So you can really build something that's not just for you guys, but for this ideal customer that you guys have, and that to know that it's actually working. I love that you guys did that.
Yeah.
Like weirdly, like makes me happy. Like that you guys are like,
Good.
want to learn more
Yeah.
about what you guys are using this for. How can we help you? Like that
Yeah. It's
shows
actually
that
funny.
brand cares, and like what I'm using, they care about me. I'm not just another dollar in their bank
Yeah.
account.
Well, it's funny because it was like the reason we reached out to everyone was like totally selfish in a way of like we want to like understand who our customers are, and we want to talk to them, we want to hear about it. But the volume of people who responded and they were like, it's so cool that you're doing this. I really appreciate that, like, you're as a brand that you like want to like talk to us and hear about how we're thinking. And it ended up actually being like a positive like customer relationship thing that it wasn't even intended to be in the beginning, because people were just so appreciative of it. And it's also just nice to like I was saying before, like have a human conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. Where do you guys see Hilma going in the next, I'm not gonna say like 5 years or something, because like that's a long time from now, but like what's next for you guys? Like where do you want to take this next? You guys have built something really
Yeah, well, so I would say two things. One, our biggest focus right now is retail expansion, because we are, like I said earlier, like our mission is to make natural remedies accessible. And for us, like a big piece of that is just like being available where people are shopping. So, we were very early. We launched in Target, which was a huge thing for us. And we recently, this year, we launched in Walgreens. And we're very focused on continuing to expand our like mass retail presence. So keep an eye out, because we hope to have some exciting new launches next year. We're also in, many regional grocery chains and more boutique retail as well. But that's a huge priority for us. And then also doing like interesting brand partnerships. We recently launched a partnership with Press Juicery, where we did like a summer deep bloat bundle, which is still available in stores if anyone wants to check it out. It was really fun to collaborate with them on two like limited edition custom products that are sold in their store alongside our bestseller, Gas and Bloat Relief. And it sold out in the first week.
That's
So
awesome.
it's like, and it's now back on shelves, but it was a really fun, like we're excited about continuing to do partnerships like that are like that are really clearly like targeted at the right audience. And that allow us to do something like a little bit fun.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I'm in Miami, so like I miss a lot of those cool like activation events at like New York and LA.
Yeah.
But it would be
Yeah.
really cool one day to see it in like my local Walgreens or Whole Foods or something.
Yeah. Well, you should check out if there, we're
I
definitely
have to
in
look to see.
Target in the Miami area. So it might not be like the one that's like right next door to you, but you should check it out, because we're in a lot of.
Yeah. I'll look online to find it. But yeah, I'm the worst. Like I mean, I think because of the digital age, I tend to find things more online than I do in
Yeah.
store. But it
We're
is really
also
cool.
available on Amazon, which
Yeah.
has become an even bigger part of our business. So
Yeah. But
uh,
it's cool to me when I'm like, oh, I've been using this brand and like now it's in Target. Like that's really cool, because
yeah,
seeing it, you find it on social media and you kind of see it grow, and now it's a resale. Like that's always really cool to me. So I hopefully will get to see it very soon. But thank you so much, Lily, for coming on the podcast
of
and talking
course.
about Hilma and how it came to be. Where can everyone find you? Let everyone know. I'll link it all below.
Okay, amazing. Well, you can find Hilma on Instagram at Hilma_co. And you can find me just at my name, Lily Galef. And you can buy all of our products on our website, Hilma.co, and like I said, in Target and Walgreens and on Amazon.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lily, for coming on the podcast.